Okay, welcome to the Committee of the Whole. The date is Tuesday, May 12th, 2026. Time is 6:01. With that, I'll call the meeting to order. We have a motion to adopt the agenda. Okay, moved by Councilor McLaughlin, second. Councilor Abbott. Any amendments, changes? Okay, we'll go to Councilor Broughton and Councilor McLaughlin.
Hey, I'd like to do a beach park update and discussion. There was a list of items that were provided in emails May 4th, May 6th, May 8th. And they won't take very long, but I think the beach park is opening imminently, and I think we just need to hear about
Could you roll that into the CAO's talk about the entrance?
I think so.
Done?
Yeah,
I'm done.
Okay,
yeah.
that sounds good. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you very much, Mayor Barry. I would like to delete. Michael, you'll appreciate the humor in this. I'm going to delete my own report.
Oh, my God.
8.3.2, and that's excess resident parking. Without going into further discussion on it, I would say the bylaw officers have it in hand. I'm very pleased with what they've done. And it's ultimately a resident versus resident issue, and that's no grounds for us.
Okay, any other amendments? No, all in favor with the amendments? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, with that, we'll move to public participation. There's no one in gallery, in-house. Anyone online, Crystal?
No hands raised.
Okay, with that, we'll move to 5.1, motion that the Committee of the Whole meeting minutes from March 17th, 2026 be approved. No motion. Moved by Councilor McLaughlin, second by Councilor Broughton.
Well, actually, I won't move that. I wasn't here.
Okay, we have a second.
I'll move it.
Councilor Abbott. Any amendments, changes? Don't, all in favor?
Sorry, 1 second. I'm fine.
All in favor? Opposed, motion carried. This is arising from the minutes.
None for me.
None. Okay, I'm finished.
I had a question on business arising from the minutes. I guess I could have given Councillor McLaughlin the hints up, or staff, maybe it's actually probably for us. The inn, item 7.2, the Inns Park. We got.
I can tell you that as you're asking for an update kind of thing.
Just to know that it's going ahead, is there anything we need to discuss here? Any opportunity?
It's going ahead.
There's nothing we need to. Okay.
Nothing for council.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, we'll move to 7.1 reimbursement of the tree work at the Lions Bay Beach Park. For discussion, anyone like to open up? Ross, anything to add to this before council debates this?
Absolutely, can contribute a little bit. Here's what I can provide you with a bit of background. I completely understand where this individual is coming from. They spent a lot of money on addressing these trees to find out some number of months later that they were all removed. What I can tell you is there was no plan at all at the time that this application was before council to remove these trees in association with the beach park. That was an emergent issue that happened afterward. So it's not as though the both ends were working against the middle. They were completely separate and unrelated decisions. Nonetheless, the offset between when the municipality took down the rest of the trees versus when they were first topped was mere months. One of the reasons why they were taken down was both the size, but also the health and the fact that they were topped, which was not ideal. It was quite ugly. So as a result of the topping and the sort of the mess that was left, and not an intentional mess. I mean, there's nothing untoward. It's just that's what happens when you top trees. It was decided to improve the entrance. It's best just to remove them. So that's what I can give you as background because. And I point that out because there was the intimation that perhaps the plan had already factored in the removal of these trees, and I just want to underscore the fact that it did not. This was an emergent issue.
Thank you for that. Was there any estimate of how much more it would have cost you? Because the residents must have taken away quite a bit of debris, I would imagine. Any estimate on that? Did you look at that?
Sorry, can you clarify?
I guess my thought pattern was, by the residents topping a portion of those trees and taking them away, they must have saved the village a little bit of money, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah, that would be really difficult to sort of gauge how much. Um, I mean, I wouldn't want to speculate. It was the topping of some very small trees. So yeah, there was some green waste removal that was saved, but maybe two-thirds of it, or perhaps even more, fell on the budget of the beach park. So, it would be impossible for me to tell you, to ascribe a number to that.
Okay, Councillor Broughton.
Still thinking.
Okay, Councillor Broughton, you had your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to emphasize that the residents came in good faith in July, I think it was. They'd applied, I think in March or before. And then I think they waited until after the nesting season to, as appropriate to do the work. So there was quite a long timeline in there. And council, gave them the go ahead in good faith. And I think it was just kind of unfortunate that, the trees then were taken down. I guess I'm wondering if there is, if the village did benefit to some extent. I think they topped the trees. I think, wasn't there some unhealthy trees too that they may have removed? I don't know. I'm not that familiar with the project, but I'm just thinking if there was some benefit that the village got from that work, that, if we could in some way reflect that, but it's a tough one. As I said, everything was done in good faith. And it's just a timing issue. If there'd been a couple of years in between or something, it wouldn't even have been a thought probably, but because it was so close.
Councillor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Barry. I'm thinking along the same lines as Councillor Brogan on this one, and as the CAO said, let's just really be clear, this is all in good faith above the table. There's no skullduggery here. The folks that did this spent their $6,400, and I agree, if we were all looking at the same thing, we'd be saying I benefited the village to some extent. When we took down the rest of the stuff, which did not look particularly pleasant.
Yeah, that was alarming.
That's our new protocol for closed meetings. No idea.
Okay.
You must be identified as a trouble person. As trouble.
That's quite an interest.
Thank you for that.
That's the metal detector. So,
Since from the table, I'll be quick here. So I don't think there was anything misrepresented, anything done wrong. The reality is that the cutting did not look very pleasant, given the dough that we're putting on the beach park and where it is now or where it will be. I think that, in my view, there is reimbursement due to the tree cutting consortium, I guess. Is it $6,400 that they've asked for? Is it part of it? I could go both ways on that one. I think that in terms of where Mayor Barry was going, they used a private contractor, private shipper. We used our works yard guys and all the rest of that stuff. So I think that it's one of these things where council's going to have to say, okay, well, the resident didn't know any better. We didn't know any better. And if I'm looking back to the recommendation, ultimately the tree committee suggested that we nuke these babies in the first place.
Okay, any, Councillor Conlon?
I think that we owe the residents some reimbursement here. Had it been a couple of years, I agree with Councillor Broughton, but in such a short period of time to put out that kind of money and then ultimately have your efforts completely dismissed, I can understand why they would feel the way they do, and I do think that we should do right by the residents.
Okay,
Some
Councillor
reimbursement.
Yeah, I think it's all been said. I don't need to repeat what everyone's saying the same thing. My question is, well, what's staff's ask here? We're in a committee of the whole, so we can't make a decision anyway.
It's a little hard to negotiate and open, isn't it?
Well, we also in the committee of the whole meeting, so we can't
Yeah.
recommend anything. So what's the ask? What are we trying to do?
Ross, I think we're all in agreement that there should be some reimbursement or a portion. If you could maybe identify the potential savings, because there had to be some savings for the work that the residents did. And
Sure.
I guess you come back to the number.
So my recommendation to you in this as a one-off situation, given the backdrop, given that there are no costs that accrue to the municipality associated with this tree, the tree removal, the tree topping, I really don't see this as I see this as a no harm, no foul situation, and I would think it would be reasonable to reimburse them 100% of their money. It didn't cost us anything per se. So given that we took down the rest of the trees 3 or 4 months later, whatever it was, I don't see what the value proposition would be for the property owners. So in view of that, I would say, you know what, we took them down, here's your money back.
Okay,
Well, sorry, Ross, you mentioned something else that needs to be thought. There is a value proposition for the owners because they now don't have any trees in their view. And prior, we'd agreed that they had top trees in their view. I personally like the trees and would like them to stay. I like that entrance being treed, to be honest, but that's just a personal aesthetics thing. But there is a proper value proposition for the owner. He now does not have any trees there, and future tree topping and other activities that he would have had to do for years is no longer required because we've now planted flowers there instead of trees. So that's not.
If I may, if I may, for
Yeah.
clarification, what I'm referring to with regard to sort of the value proposition is with regard to the removal of the trees, not sort of any associated benefit of tree removal versus not aesthetically. I'm just talking about the actual mechanics of moving the trees.
okay, we can't make the final decision here, but we can recommend it to council.
Special council meeting.
Special council meeting, we can take care of it then, so we'll table that to the special meeting. Everyone fine with that?
If I may,
Yeah,
if council's so minded, you could somebody could propose a motion. And if passed, it would then you could then refer it to the special council meeting. You're not bound by that decision. That's a whole brand new discussion later on tonight. But at least you have something concrete that in theory you could work for. So if that appeals to council, it's available to council.
all right, Councillor
I would put a motion that we follow the staff recommendation of
Okay.
reimbursing the property owners 100%.
Second, Councillor McLaughlin, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, next item.
Sorry, and you just may want to pass a resolution to refer this to special council meeting tonight.
Moved by Councillor Cunliffe, seconded by Councillor McLaughlin, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. All right, thanks for that, Mr. Blackwell. We'll move to the fire truck. Ross, over to you again. You've got a report out on this.
Yeah,
Would you give us some background?
yeah, thank you very much. I'm not sure if Barrett is on the line or not. I provided this information to council just to flesh out the issues a little bit more. I do not expect any decision from council on this at this point. What I'm trying to do is provide greater detail. It's even more complicated than what I've set out in that report in terms of potential scenarios. Excuse me. So again, what I was hoping to do is give you further background, further information, further a sense of the options available for you to discuss tonight. Again, just to reinforce, no decision is asked of council at this point necessarily. That said, it is something that needs to be actioned soon.
Okay, thank you for that. We'll go around the table. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Mayor Barry. CEO Blackwell, in the used option for the truck that's approximately $500,000, all things being equal, what would the lifespan be?
If I may,
Yeah, Mr. Blackwell.
thank you through the chair. Well, in theory, it's 25 plus 5. So 25 years out of the gate is sort of the boilerplate, and then you have to get certified. Now, here's sort of this is where the mist starts to cloud the vision on this, and the mist is this. So long as you get your pump testing done on an annual basis, and by the way, I should point out, I'm not an expert on this. This is my understanding. So long as you get pump testing undertaken every 12 months and whatever other testing needs to be done to confirm that the vehicle is still compliant, you can go past that. In fact, there are fire trucks that are quite old, relatively speaking. The problem is the fire rating of the municipality can suffer. So that's the trade-off. You have an older truck, but your fire rating may suffer. Now, is this a black and white? You do this, then that happens. It's not. Unfortunately, it depends who you talk to. The scenarios constantly shift. This is just not a black and white situation. But if council is seeking certainty, well, the most certain is a brand new truck that buys you 25 and 5. The next option is as new a truck as you can possibly afford, which is somewhere, as I showed you, that's just a generic example. That's somewhere around $400,000 US plus whatever certifications and transport costs are necessary to get it here. That might buy you 15 years, which is actually a hell of a long time. There's another option you'll see, which is a one-off, and that is a truck worth $35,000. I'm not entirely sure that I would trust that truck, given the price. But what those trucks, what that information illustrates to council is there's sort of there's a very broad, flexible framework within which council can address this situation. If council sought a middle of the road approach, I would suggest buying a as new as possible secondhand fire truck would probably be the most pragmatic. And there are different ways that it can be funded. That solves the funding mechanisms are also set out in the staff report. It's not like the municipality has to necessarily cut a check for whatever it is, $400,000, $500,000. There's ways to finance it to sort of take the sting out of the cost. But there are there's a lot of information here. There's a lot of scenarios. And as I say, if I could summarize it, perhaps the middle of the road solution is probably a truck somewhere around the 10-year-old mark.
Okay, thanks for that, Councilor Broughton and Councilor Abbott.
Yeah, how much do we have in the reserve for the fire truck? I think we did 100,000 last year and 200,000 this year. Something like that.
If I may, is Mr. Cherkoff in the gallery?
No.
Um,
Anyway, that's fine. That's just a bit of information, but.
yeah, I want to say it's about $250,000 in reserves.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, McLaughlin, or sorry, Councilor Abbott and then Councilor McLaughlin.
To me, I thought the option 1 in your report just seemed the logical way to go. We're not gonna, if we do move on from this truck, we're gonna fix it and sell it because it still has worth. So why wouldn't we fix it for ourselves now, which buys us years while we work out when to sell it, when to buy a replacement truck? And I would see that truck, assuming now we know once they have a new engine, because this sounds like a new engine or major rebuild. It might last us for another 10 years. That becomes the second truck, and then maybe we have to get a new primary truck. But by fixing the engine now and spending 60 grand, we have all those options open to us, and we're going to do it anyway. So why wouldn't that just be the first step?
If I may,
Councillor McLaughlin.
Just
Mr. Blackwell, go ahead.
thank you. So through you, those are really great questions. And I think that really gets to the heart of the matter. From what I understand from fire rescue folks, it just so happens, so it's a Cummins engine in that vehicle. It just so happens that there was a period of 18 months that there were some fundamental problems, we'll say, with that specific model of Cummins engine. It was notorious. After 18 months, the manufacturer ceased making those motors, those engines, and they moved to a different model. I can't tell you the technical details on that, but that's what I understand from the fire rescue folks. So to Councillor Abbott's point, you could certainly repair it. But it's hard to say whether or not, given how notoriously unreliable this engine is, whether there'll be other ongoing issues. The other consideration is that this engine's starting to age out as well. So it's sort of the double whammy. So I think as far as the comments from fire rescue, the preferred option would be to repair it and then sell it. They feel that it should be able to get somewhere in the order of $100,000. That remains to be seen. But it sounds like, given the lack of reliability of this platform, they would prefer to divest themselves of it and get something more reliable.
Okay, thanks, Councillor McLaughlin.
Thanks, Mayor Barry. I too am leaning short-term to option one, but I see a place for number two. I do believe that the new chief should have a hand in this. I think to Councillor Broughton's piece with 250 in the reserve for a new fire truck and $1.3 million in the infrastructure fund, and however we doodle around with the used truck, we're gonna get another 50 or 100 there. So I wouldn't think that financing is actually the biggest problem here. It's procuring the winning horse at the Derby.
Okay, Councillor Broughton.
I'm just wondering what the potential might be to replace the engine. Maybe sounds like it's out of left field, but it sounds to me like that there may be a potential if there was 18 months of this engine being used, there was a subsequent engine in place, and there may be rebuilt engines around or engines that could replace it and may give the engine a lot more value rather than fixing, an engine that's not, notorious. An engine replacement, maybe for an additional $10,000 or $20,000 over the 60,000 may be a good thing to look into. And then we may, if we have a good engine or a good machine, I should say, with a good motor, it's got more value. It also may be something we want to keep then. So I think that's certainly an option that could be looked at.
Okay, I lean towards
myself, so.
I lean towards Councillor Abbott and Councillor McLaughlin that if the engine needs to be repaired, and even if we're gonna sell it, we've got to repair it.
Fix it, yeah.
And the sooner we get it in service in case something goes wrong. So I would say option number one, and then sell it, look for a replacement.
Could we pursue the possibility though of a rebuilt engine of the newer style?
Yeah. One way or the other, the engine's gotta be fixed, otherwise it's not worth anything.
Yeah.
And we need something. Yeah.
Thanks, Mayor Barry. I think staff's got their direction in this.
Okay, anything else, Ross? You need to hear from us?
No, again, I wasn't necessarily looking for any specific direction at this point because of the complexity, but I just wanted to get this information out so you have it in hand as we get closer to a decision point. And when we get there, I'll be providing additional information so you have as much information as possible. to pull the trigger on whichever option council feels is optimal.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to 8.1.2 land clearing regulation. Ross, if you can give us some detail on the clearing bylaw regulations that are proposed.
Yes, thank you. At the last council meeting, Councillor Abbott discussed in general terms the notion of land clearing bylaw. How valuable would that be to the municipality, etc. So again, I've provided this just to give you some information. I'm not making any recommendations per se. You'll note that in the staff report, what I'm suggesting is that the objectives of a land clearing bylaw have now largely been superseded by the latitude afforded municipalities through the development permit area and the associated guidelines process. And so through this OCP process that is about to kick off, one of those considerations for the community and council will be with regard to various development permit areas, and one of those is going to be hazard area, development permit area, and that can be bifurcated into things like steep slopes, it could be wildfire, so it's not just one. And then in there will be guidelines or provisions associated with land clearing. And should that end up being the sort of the tool that's adopted by bylaw, by council at the end of the day, then there would be an application process that a person would have to follow in order to clear their land. And through that application process and pursuant to the development permit area guidelines, there would be a series of provisions that would have to be accounted for. And those provisions are sort of touched on in that staff report. So again, this is just for information to flesh out this issue because it's front of mind for council right now.
Okay, thank you for that. Councillors wish to comment on this? Councillor Abbott?
Okay. Ross, in that previous meeting, you mentioned, I also asked you about our soil disposition bylaw, which we have in place. And you'd said you weren't that familiar with it. Can't remember what you said exactly. I went and read it after the meeting. And it does talk about a lot of similar issues. It talks about erosion control, slope stability, slopes about or steeper than 30 degrees. All of the kind of things that you would have in what you suggested you'd have in a land clearance bylaw. So there's a lot of similarities there in my mind, and things that might currently apply. My thought or suggestion was that we, in the interim, put some updated language in the soil disposition bylaw, referring to tree clearing, or land clearing, as you call it. And that could be the placeholder while we go work out what all the DPAs need to be about. And I think everyone understands, given what's happened in the last couple of years, how important that probably is to get those DPAs sorted out. Anyway, comment on that suggestion.
Mr. Blackwell?
Thank you, through you. That would be great. The limitations with the soil deposition bylaw are, well, let me back up. So with regard to soil, there's sort of two realms that can be regulated in terms of soil. One is removal of soil off of a property, and the other is deposit of soil on a property. With regard to deposit, I'll focus on that. There's a number of issues that pertain to the deposit of soil material. You've touched on a couple, or a few of them, and I think those are exactly right. There are other ones, such as ensuring that the soil is certified, that it's come from a certified site that ensures it doesn't have any contaminants in it, and so on and so forth. I don't know if this bylaw contemplates that or not. I haven't read it yet. But unfortunately, there are inherent limitations to the extent that bylaw can affect other matters such as tree clearing, or tree removal. Some communities, as I'm sure you're well aware, have tree, like West Van, right next door, has a tree removal bylaw that sets out limits on what trees can be removed and compensation in terms of one tree removed, X number of trees planted as a replacement. I don't think that it will do what I'm sensing council is seeking. And what I'm sensing council seeking here is our regulatory tools that will address a physical manipulation of a property, whether that's depositing soil, removing soil, cutting down trees, altering the topography, anything. All of those sorts of works and others, my sense is, and rightly so, need to be regulated to ensure that they're done in such a way as to minimize or completely mitigate geotechnical or other impacts associated with those works. So in summary, that soils bylaw, from what you're saying, Councillor Abbott, is great in many ways. It covers off some of those key issues. I just don't think we are able to legally add other elements. In other words, if you want to deal with trees, that needs to be a separate bylaw sort of thing.
Okay, does that answer your question, Councillor Abbott?
Could I respectfully request that you actually go read it and come back with an opinion on whether you think that can happen? I'm just looking at something that strengthens that bylaw and gets us through this process, which is going to take us months, potentially longer.
If I may?
Yeah, Mr. Blackwell?
Absolutely, more than happy to do so. What I would suggest, if I can prognosticate here, what I would suggest is that the bylaw name be changed so it's a more inclusive name. Something along the lines of land clearing, and it takes all of the stuff that deals with soil deposition and then adds to it all of those other elements. So it may not be perfect, but it'll be much more robust than what we have now, and it won't be an awkward fit for matters that are not soil deposition related, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, and the bylaw does talk about deposition and excavation and changing of grades, etc. As I recall. Okay, yeah, if you could do that, that'd be great.
All right, sounds like a good plan. I'll councilors in approval of that. All right, Mr. Blackwell. Thank you. Okay, next item is 8.1.3 Alliance Bay Beach Park entrance. Mr. Blackwell, you want to give us some explanation? I see we received a letter today as well from a resident. Maybe give us some background and just your thoughts, and then we'll open it up to the councilors.
Yeah, thank you. You bet. So the matter pertaining to that road end that terminates at the entrance to the park has been something that has been bubbling in the background for a little while from a few different angles. One of the more sort of relevant to recent conversations is the comments from bylaw enforcement with regard to traffic snarls or vehicular snarls, or sort of challenges around traffic management and associated with the peak times and peak use times of the park. So we were looking at sort of this from a multitude of different perspectives. One of those perspectives is, how do we simplify the psychological, the visual messaging around how the parking is supposed to work there, so we reduce the likelihood people are going to stack cars one behind the other and create this big log jam and mess of parking. How can we improve the safety of pedestrians entering the park, running the gauntlet of vehicles in that location? How do we beautify the entrance of the park so it looks a little less utilitarian? What can be done to facilitate all of those things without unduly impacting the adjacent property owner, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So some of the work that we have done, I've talked about, I think, in the staff report, as well as verbally with council. One of those includes the development of a granular surfaced pathway that would take pedestrians off of the road and that very difficult hair bend corner and convey people safely from the parking lot area off the road on this granular pathway at the top of that sloped garden bank, whatever you call it, down effectively to the flat spot or entryway to the beach park. So the notion, let me back up. Some of the other considerations also included the fact that we have electrical conduit for electrification of a food truck, if and when a food truck was to be accommodated in that location for special events. In that conversation, there was commentary about the increasing number of people on e-bikes and scooters. And so the question then was, how difficult would it be to run another line to energize some e-bike and scooter recharging stations in conjunction with some bicycle stands in that location? And installing those, how could we install those in such a way as to be safe and not conflict with vehicles? So with all of that as the backdrop, we came up with this concept where we could create a little bit more clarity and definition around how that space was to be used or could be used as a scenario. I provided to council sort of an illustrative concept that is intended to show generally how that could look and how that would function. It's not perfect. You'll see I was not able to remove the porta potty, and for whatever reason, it installed gates across the entrance. I tried to remove the gates, but it removed the washroom facility in behind, so I just left the gates. It included I can't think, vehicle barriers. I can't think of the name. Escaped my mind.
Bollards.
No,
Bollards.
no, the concrete wheel stops.
Oh,
Yeah,
Lampposts.
yeah, I
no,
could,
no, the concrete,
yeah.
Lampposts or Jersey barriers.
No, I'm talking about the wheel stops. I couldn't remove
Wheel
those
stops.
and
Yeah.
all of those
Yeah.
things. So,
Okay.
so the purpose was to facilitate all of that. That image is sort of supposed to show generally how a very inexpensive interventions can totally change how that entrance functions. Given where the project is with regard to the construction window and when the blacktop folks are coming to tidy up some of the blacktop areas that need to be touched up, the time is now to get direction on this. You will, I think, well, the Director of Operations has reached out to the affected neighbor. Naturally, the affected neighbor has concerns about the prospect of having some restrictions now on their secondary driveway access, which is understandable. I empathize with that. Council will know that it's unusual to have two driveway accesses. Council will also, I'm sure, recall that whether anything beyond one sits at the discretion of the municipality, the Director of Operations, depending on the needs of the municipality. So there is a situation here where there can be middle ground sought, where the more southerly access to that adjacent property doesn't have to be removed entirely, but it would be through this concept, it would be made more limited, more restricted.
Ross, I'm gonna cut you short there and just open it up to council, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Just to hear some comments. I think we've got the picture, we've got the story behind it. Okay, I'll go around the council table. Councilor McLaughlin.
Thank you, Barry. I'm being quiet on the budget for all of this. But I like the picture, thank you in the short period that it took to get here. It's a beautiful park, it's a beautiful entrance, it seems to have functioned to me. It's unfortunate about the neighbor who's been there since the park was there, I'm pretty sure. But as you point out, if we can negotiate with them to make them somewhat happier than not, that'd be fine. So I would be in favor of this more or less as it's going, and I really don't need specifics more than this.
Okay, any other councillors wish to comment? Councillor Abbott?
Not sure why Councillor McLaughlin would choose to be silent on the budget. I would like to know what it's going to cost and where the money's coming from. Can we get that in a report?
I can give it to you verbally through the chair.
Okay.
Uh,
Black.
So BA Blacktop will be in that area doing work. It would be a day rate. So the expectation would be, so this is only ballpark at this point. And the money would come from the existing beach park budget. But we would be expecting a budget amount roughly in the range of about $2,000 to $3,000. The director of operations, I think, is on the line here. I don't know if he has anything more accurate. But just to reiterate, it would be a cost that would be billed out as on a day rate basis.
Okay, Councillor Broughton, unless Eric, are you on the line?
Yes.
Yes,
We
I
can't
am
hear
here.
you, right? Okay, any comments?
No further comment. That's my same understanding as what Mr. Blackwell has reported.
Okay, Councillor Broughton?
In terms of mobility funding, I'm wondering if there's probably grant funding for the e-bike charging, that type of thing. I don't know whether that's been explored at all, but whether there would be funds available that would pick up that cost. It's certainly, I mean, looking forward over the next number of years, we're gonna have a lot of people, e-scootering, e-biking and so on around the community, I expect. So we are more than just the kids at this point. So that seems to make some sense. I'm concerned about it's quite a significant change to that neighbor. But right now he's got, people parking in there, and I think it'll bring a lot more order to it, but I can understand the concern that if the parking is pulled back, that his north driveway may also be blocked. And so I think we need to be very cognizant of that concern and how that can maybe be dealt with. But I'm trying to understand the whole package, but I think it makes a lot of sense to, as you said, 3 cars wide makes a lot of sense there, and 15-minute maximum parking type of thing, stopping, not parking.
Okay, any other comments, councillors? Councillor McLaughlin?
Thank you, Councillor.
Councillor Abbott?
So just to follow a question, Mike, ask you about the budget. I wasn't referring to the cost of the blacktop getting patched up. I was referring to the cost of this entire sort of concept. I want to call it a separate project, but maybe it is, including e-bikes and charging and all the rest of it. And Martina, I believe that the electric power is now on the west. Sorry, on the east side. I thought the electric power with the bikes on. I thought it was on the other side.
Through the chair.
Mr. Blackwell, yeah?
The conduit is run to the east side. How can I say? Let's see, from where the porta potty currently sits, maybe 4 to 5 feet northward of that is the conduit. It's a 2-inch conduit within which there will be 6-gauge wire, I assume, run to which would be a 40 amp breaker to run a food truck. In that same conduit, a 12-gauge wire could be run to energize what we're looking at is 3 electrification hubs. So the cost of that, running that 12 gauge wire and attaching them to duplex boxes secured on posts is a small money. It's not very, it's under $1,000.
Okay, I love the looks of it. The two concerns or questions that I would have, one is pushing that parking back closer to that residence first entrance, whether we're gonna have cars piled up right in front of their driveway in the summertime. I guess we'll find out if we implement this. The other is they've got a significant frontage there. How's that going to affect their property, I guess, or property value? It may improve it if it's a parkway, but their frontage looks to be limited to a driveway width, as opposed to whereas now they've got frontage of I don't know what it might be, 100 feet plus on that roadway. Is there anything that we need to be concerned about from a city planning perspective on that?
Yeah, no, thank you. Given that the road remains a road, there's no change. There's zero change in the frontage. It remains a road. It just we are providing restrictions on how that section of road is accessed. And so the utilization of bollards is a very common tool, particularly in Europe, where they restrict vehicular access to certain parts of their village centers and so forth. Oftentimes with electrified bollards that at certain times just magically come out of the ground. It's quite impressive. So that's on roadways. So this roadway would remain roadway, so this frontage wouldn't change. In terms of the impact in association with vehicle utilization, it's already currently a knot of vehicles in that location during peak times. What this organization of parking will do is not only make it safer for pedestrians accessing the park in that location, but it'll also improve the sort of the chaos. And to your point, I think the beautification of that section, coupled with better traffic management associated with this, can only improve the value of his property.
Okay, any other questions? Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you very much, Mark Perry. My earlier comments when I said I was turning a blind eye to the budget on this, I was being somewhat facetious because what I'm seeing is not part of the beach park as I look at this, forgetting about the paving, forgetting about the posts, forgetting about the electrical, which are not part of our scope. All those rocks that are piled up along the side, that cost a contractor to put it there. It cost a contractor on behalf of the village to dig out all the roots of those trees. It cost the village to take down the trees. And if you look at all that lovely planting, that's probably going to cost the village too. And we haven't, if I could just end with the gravel walkway coming down. Long story short, Mr. Abbott's got a fair point. I'm turning a blind eye to it because clearly this is a separate project, apparently out of scope. That was before my time, but let's just leave it at that.
Okay, Mr. Blackwell, I think Councilor Abbott has a good point. It's likely gonna be more than just paving there and those rocks. Probably all know what those, well, I do, what they cost.
One more thing.
If I may, yeah, so the costs would be limited to, we have to do paving anyway, to deal with stormwater, and we have to fix the entrance of the park. So this concept doesn't introduce more paving. It's just that BA Blacktop will be there already to do other works associated with the beach park. The only additional work here that is not part of the beach park, but is associated with the beach park, is the installation of bollards. It would be the line painting, all of which is very, very minimal cost. The energizing bikes and e-scooter or e-bikes and scooters, one could argue that's absolutely in the wheelhouse of the project. Not necessarily contemplated at the outset of this, but it's one of those things that materialize as you work through the project. So that, again, just to summarize, the only thing that sits really outside of this is line painting and the installation of bollards. There would be bollards reinstalled anyway, closer to where the construction fence is now, All this would be doing is, instead of installing them there, move them down a little further. That's all.
Okay, what do you need from council, Mr. Blackwell?
I don't necessarily need a resolution as long as there's consensus on council to pursue this. And if that is the consensus, then we will pursue this. It's a relatively minor. And, council can always revisit this thing 12 months from now and reassess how it's working.
Okay.
Mayor Barry,
Sorry, Councillor McLaughlin.
you raised a point. I'm looking at this picture and I'm not sure whether the picture's been modified. Is that the owner's driveway at the right hand post? Such that, as Mayor Barry pointed out, that parking spot is wiping out half of his entrance to his driveway.
If I may,
I can't tell from the picture. Yeah, Mr. Blackwell.
my suggestion is not to worry about that. Staff would not be designing it in such a way as to conflict with the driveway entrance. That would be sort of basic, is to ensure that those mobility considerations are, they're fundamental with regard to standard traffic engineering design.
Okay, we're using those ballers, and if anything, after a year of experimenting, I could see the traffic jam being pushed back in front of this resident's first driveway, but it's up to staff to figure that out, I guess. So
We can work with that.
okay, all right, we'll move on.
Okay, we have
Councillor Broughton, you had a few
Yeah,
points.
if I may, if I could get a read from council, is council collectively in support of moving forward with this concept?
Council straw vote.
Yes.
All in favor of
The
moving forward?
concept, yeah.
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 The concept,
With
yes.
With the paving part of it, so, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'd like to, if we stop putting in charger stations or any other sort of modifications plus budget, I'd like to see that come back, but this paving part is sure.
Okay.
Just to clarify, those it's already in the scope of the electrician to complete those electrical works, so those charging thingies are slated to go in soon.
Okay,
And by the way, since we're talking about that, the roof is going on tomorrow in advance of the rain.
Okay, that's good. Councillor Broughton, you were requesting some updates. I'm
Right,
sure
some
as well.
updates. Can I, this will not be an on table, it'll just be an information sheet to guide us in our discussion.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, Michael.
Just don't put.
This would be the first and
Don't
last
put it
time
on
you do
the
this.
no, it's certainly not the first. That's doubtful.
Okay.
Okay.
So, with the park opening, imminent, I just had a number of questions and comments and concerns and so on that I've sent emails about, had responses to and so on. So anyway, I'm getting a lot of questions in terms of when is the park opening? So there will be a soft opening and there'll be an official opening. Our official opening will be July the 1st, my understanding. Council, I think, has decided that. The soft opening, when could we anticipate people walking on the grass
Mr. Blackwell?
and swimming on the beach?
So thank you through you. Just for clarification, we're not permitting people to swim on the beach. We're requiring that they swim in the water. I hope that's going to be acceptable.
Thank you for that clarification.
We've already got people on the beach.
I just wanted to manage expectations there a little bit.
All right, I went by there last
Lot
night.
of
We've
sand.
already got people on the beach,
A lot of
so.
sand in your bathing suit.
So,
Yeah, we have people who are wanting to go swimming, yeah.
yeah, so let's start with July 1st and work backwards.
Yeah.
So July 1st, as council has resolved, will be there will be a formal opening or ribbon cutting ceremony in conjunction with the Canada Day celebrations. With regard to the soft opening, it is really hard to judge. One of the considerations is that the grass needs to reach 6 inches before it can get cut the first time. And once it's cut, it is fine for people to walk on. we're not there. It's not actually growing as fast as I would hope. We are maybe at about 1.5 inches right now. So we needed to giddy up. The hydro seeding folks were in yesterday. Where are we? What day is it? Yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, lost track, to finish up the hydro seeding on the remaining areas. They also re-hydroseeded some of the main slope area. Do you know what I mean by that? The main grassed slope area, down slope of the washroom building. They re-hydroseeded some of that because of some damage that had occurred there from people's dogs and so forth. So it's a wait and see game. Another consideration is that the soffits, which are installed on the underside of the roof and in the washrooms, are being manufactured in Quebec. They are due to be delivered the beginning of June. The date that was indicated to me was June 1st. So the week after that, they should be installed. Let's see what else was there. Then on top of the roof being done tomorrow, once that's done, the gutters can or will be painted black. So that'll be happening as soon as the weather is appropriate for that. There's some remaining electrical work to be done over the next couple of weeks. Um, uh, there's some other pieces missing. So it looks like some of the pieces won't be, I can't remember immediately what it is. There's a couple of outstanding issues that won't get done until well into July. Sorry, well into June. I don't know necessarily at this point in time whether it will preclude a soft launch. The thing that will preclude the soft launch is primarily two considerations. Number one, that we have no construction equipment there that can be climbed on, et cetera, et cetera. So that would be the scaffolding and any other sort of equipment in there that could create um, risk to people's life safety. The other one, of course, is people running all over the grass and wrecking that. So we need that at 6 inches and then having its first cut. Those are the two key parameters. So it's a wait and see thing with regard to the grass. As quickly as it grows, it will dictate that component. The other piece is the construction equipment. So week by week, I'll continue to update the community and council through the village update as I know more on a weekly basis. The devil's in the details, unfortunately, and there's a lot of little details right now.
Yeah, are you watering the grass to help it grow quicker?
Yeah, irrigation is almost entirely installed. The irrigation has been installed in the grassed areas and it's being irrigated. Council may recall that I brought the swim dock issue to council, whatever that was, 2 weeks ago or something.
Yeah.
And I mentioned that we were getting ready to launch it and discovered that one of the beams had cracked and the decking was all so badly degraded that people would be filled with splinters. We are fortunate to have been able to get that rebuilt at a cost of $6,000, and it is ready to be launched. So that will be launched in the coming weeks. So
Okay.
Sorry.
That was my number 5, yeah. Thank you.
the decking is all
Okay.
brand new.
Yeah, perfect.
Counselor Broughton, I'll ask you to move this along.
Yeah,
We've got
quickly,
about,
okay. Okay, number 2 is the
3 or
beach,
4 minutes.
beach park watercraft storage racks. Any update on those?
That would be mine.
That would be, yeah,
Say something next Tuesday.
okay, so that'll come up on Tuesday, thank you, perfect. Safety from Lions Bay Avenue. I appreciate that the bigger rocks and have been put into position. I provided a bunch of background and as I said at the time, wanted to give a context and some experience in terms of concerns about possible vehicles coming down the hill over the railroad track and into the park. And with it being cleared out now, you can see that a vehicle that launched off the railroad tracks would actually land in the playground. So it's just critical that appropriate and at the time I identified the concern. It appeared that the no posts that had been buried there had been removed, and looks to me like it's been rejigged and so on. Not looking to get into technical advice, but I'm looking for outcome in terms of safety. And there have been incidents of significant sized trucks crashing down Lions Bay Avenue and so on. So just that there's an awareness of that safety. And at the time that I pointed out the concern, the rocks had not been embedded quite as much as they have at this point. So appreciate that input was listened to. So the other concern was when we had the tour of the beach park, I was unclear in terms of what the plan is for the opening, whether the doors are electrified in terms of whether they automatically lock at night, whether they automatically open, whether they're manually opened and closed. Which leads to a question of what time is the park closed? What is the security for that? One of the concerns that we had with the beach park committee and generally in the Lower Mainland is if you have someone discover you, a homeless group discover you and inhabit your area, you own them. You basically, if you're going to remove them, you have to find someplace for them to go. And so it can become a really, really, really serious problem. So we need to look carefully at how inviting the park might be for overnight stays, camping, how we deal with that. And the best way to deal with that is with prevention, of course. So I'm not being prescriptive at this point, but just trying to identify concerns that could cause us some fairly serious problems. So also in terms of, if you've got active washrooms later in the evenings, we could be sponsoring parties and stuff as well. So that's a concern. So just would be interested to know what the operational thing is. I don't know if you could speak to that now. I don't think we have time right now, and maybe perhaps we could. I could give you more specific questions, which you could bring to next week's meeting. Would that
Mr.
work?
Blackwell, do you think you could just bring something back to us to the next meeting?
Yeah, this
I'll give you
is an issue
some questions.
this is an issue that council needs to consider, not just for this park, but for all of its public spaces. Kelvin Grove is another example where the washrooms
Yeah.
are open 24/7. They're never locked. 12 months of the year. They're accessible. So if there probably needs to be a broader discussion on this.
Think about that. Okay, perfect. Okay, and the last item I've got there is there has been an art competition, and there is apparently a successful person or group or something. It's all been top secret, which is wonderful, and is going to be rolled out at some point. But my understanding is it will be in place for July the 1st. So is there any update on the possible installation, or is that a confidential item at this point in time, or can we just say that it's in hand?
To the chair,
Yeah, Mr. Blackwell?
I've had no involvement. I can't speak to it at all. I don't know what its status is. I hear that there's something imminent and in the works, but when it's going to be installed, how it's going to be installed, who's going to install it, I have no knowledge of.
Okay, well, okay, that's very helpful to understand that there has not been that communication, because it would be problematic if there was slippage there, so I appreciate that. Okay, I think I covered them all at this point. Okay, I'll just send a few questions to discuss on Tuesday.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, appreciate that.
Okay, we'll move to 8.3.1 Citizen Satisfaction Survey. Any comments by the councilors or Mr. Blackwell on the survey?
I can just lead you into it by saying, as a recap, this was brought to council as an idea. Council expressed some reluctance with regard to the timing. Staff moved forward with it for its primarily for its operational needs. It was clear about the importance of hearing from the community around some of the key issues that influence or inform how it does its work. As council knows, this was undertaken. It was I think a very good response rate. It will be valuable to build on this every couple of years so we can benchmark based on this year and see how issues like services, garbage, infrastructure and so forth are trending relative to taxation and so forth. So I think it was a very helpful exercise. I'm very, very appreciative to all those residents that took the time to provide their input. It's of huge value. And as council requested, it is here for your discussion as well.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I just jotted down a few notes of the 10 most popular ideas and I'm gonna rattle off a few and then allow other councillors to jump in. The alertable emergency notification system was top of the list, 91% in favor. And happy residents contact with village staff or website, 91%. Feeling safe in the community, 89%. Forest fire risk, 89% concerned. Aging in place for seniors, 80% said it was important. Positive rating for village staff friendliness, 79% positive. Positive rating for village staff listening skills, 79%. So just a few of the highlights. Other themes, let me see. A few of the most unpopular ideas. Let's see, only 27% feel positive about the opportunities for public input into decision making. 46% believe quality of life has worsened over the past 5 years. That's probably not a surprise with COVID times. And key emerging themes, residents were overwhelmingly valued the emergency preparedness, the wildfire mitigation, safety, aging in place, and walkability. So lots of different themes emerged. And any other comments by councillors?
Yeah, I'll try not to repeat anything you said. Well, I won't repeat anything you said, Ken. So a couple of things. Emergency preparedness one. The stats a little surprising. And maybe it's the way the question was asked, but the top 3 concerns were 89% concerned about wildfire risk. I mean, not surprising. 77% concerned about flooding. That seemed like a fairly high number, but only 63% were concerned about landslide and debris flow risk, given that all the disasters we've ever had in this village have been landslide and debris flow risk. I was kind of surprised at that. I'm not sure if it was the way the question was asked or staff have any comment on that one.
I think it might have been misunderstanding of.
I think it's probably misunderstanding.
What flooding was.
Flooding and debris slides are probably.
Yeah, and that's what I'm suggesting.
Equating, the same thing.
That's what I'm suggesting. So I think the next time around we need to ask that question in a different way to get a more appropriate answer. On 6, there's a suggestion qualitative responses reflect a strong desire to preserve rural and natural character of the community. I think that, and there's many others on here. Ken mentioned a few. I mentioned that one will clearly want to feed into this OCP review that is going to be underway fairly soon. Is there a plan to extract the OCP comments, relevant comments out of here and use them in that review? And then once again, residents' comments originally The comments at the end of the survey were shared with council, but not the comments throughout. I still think, I would like to see those comments, and I think I'm sure there's stuff in those comments that might help to inform the OCP review. So I'll just stop talking at that point and hear staff's opinion.
Okay, any other feedback from Councillor Broughton, and then we'll go to staff.
Could I get, sorry, I was going to wonder if the staff had an opinion on that, what I just mentioned.
Mr. Blackwell, any opinions on Councillor Abbott's
Use of
comments?
OCP review.
Yes, I think he's bang on. This is, the survey, as council can appreciate, is not, it's not surgery. It's more like horseshoes or hand grenades rather than surgery. It's sort of general, not super accurate, super specific, but it is indicative. And that is important information to be rolled into the broader discussions. Of course, through this type of exercise, there's two kind of approaches. The first approach is just to simply ask people their opinion on issues, which has benefits, but it also has disbenefits, and the disbenefits are largely around, well, how does somebody contribute if they really don't know much about the topic? So the other approach, the preferred approach, in my estimation, is taking the time to provide resource information to the community, to residents, to help them sort of formulate their thoughts around the various issues. So this survey is part of the recipe, let's say, one of the ingredients in the recipe to facilitate that dialogue.
All right, thank you for that. Councillor Broughton?
Yeah, I had some fairly significant concerns when the survey first came out in terms of the forced choice nature of the choices. And then I was concerned when I found out that that the survey was in fact changed. There was a second version, and then there was a drop dead date, and then the drop dead date was extended. So there was things were a bit murky in terms of that. So it really emphasized for me the fact that it is indicative. It's certainly not definitive. Some people's it's hard to know what a response meant in some cases, based on how the question was asked and the forced choice nature that was there. So I think it's really important that it be seen as a gives general feedback and I think the comments were helpful, but I had some concerns about some of the comments being released and being quite negative in nature. I think there could have been some screening at that. I don't think it was particularly helpful. The concept was fine. The tone was a little challenging. So I don't know how to exactly how to deal with that. But the person who is collecting the surveys, the professional who's doing that, I would expect would be able to cull out some of the stuff and maybe restate it a little bit.
Okay, and this,
I'm sorry, this final thing though, but I just wanted to make sure that this will be available to the people who are looking at our OCP, I understand, is that correct?
Mr. Blackwell, this will be incorporated, some of the answers into the OCP, I would imagine.
Well, as I've just finished saying, this is going to be part of the material that's provided to the consultants to help inform the overall process. The more input, the more inputs into it, the better.
Okay,
Thank you.
Councillor Abbott, and then we'll move on.
Yeah, just one final comment, certainly not surprising to anyone, I'm sure. The highest percentage, I think, of any of the questions, 96%, was that people felt strongly about focusing on infrastructure, upgrades and development of our aging infrastructure. So I guess none of us are surprised by that. I think we've made some good progress in the last few years on that. I was on the infrastructure committee, working with staff. So I think And just a little reminder that, that should really be our key focus, and I hope it continues to be so.
If I may,
Okay, for that, yeah, Mr. Blackwell, and then we're gonna move on.
just a sort of an amusing little aside. There was a resounding disapproval of changing the tax rate or taking on more taxation in order to achieve that infrastructure, just as an aside, because they don't go hand in glove, as you know.
Yeah, okay, thanks for that. All right, any new business? No, okay, we'll move into public questions. Sorry, I have no idea, this little alert is, I've got it off, but let me turn it right off.
It's the mayor tone.
Okay, anyone in the gallery wish to speak? Anyone online, Crystal?
No.
No, okay, motion to adjourn. A second, all in favor? Opposed, motion carried. Okay, we'll pick back up at 7:30 for the special council meeting.